Okay, all right. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are.
Michael Stinnett. I'm the founder of the Kentuckiana Pro-Am and the director of this All-Star game.
Tell me, what is the reason that you guys put this event together?
Well, I had been doing the Pro-Am for 21 years, and we'd had some real good pros and coming in and playing, and then all of a sudden I thought, well, we need to tweak it a little bit and add a high school game to get these young kids kind of aware of the history of the event and who all's played in the Kentuckiana Pro-Am.
Okay, talk a little bit about how many players will be participating and what people can expect to see tonight.
We'll have 40 players, 10 on the team, and you know, we've got regions 3, 4, and 5 versus regions 6, 7, and 8 in both games, and we've got, I feel like, some of the better players in the state. We got several of the guys that made the Kentucky All-Stars and girls, and then we've got a lot of college talent. A lot of these kids have already committed to play, and I just feel like it's going to be a war. Last year, the boys' game was won by regions 3, 4, and 5, and it was a real good game. And I think a little bit of the separation with this All-Star game is the competitive nature. I mean, we have real good high school coaches. Most of them were Coach of the Years coaching the games, and they compete and they coach a little bit.
You know, with you having such a long experience in high school, well, just in hoops in general, why do you feel that it is important to have a game like this? What do you feel that the players get out of this, as well as the people who are coming to see this event?
Well, the main reason I think we put it on is to give these kids a little bit more exposure, and also to just, maybe some of them didn't make the Kentucky All-Stars, but you know, there's only 10 people they select to make that team. I just think this is another All-Star game that it's different. We add a little flavor to it. The kids, it's not, you know, it's a little street basketball combined with their high school basketball, and that's kind of what this game brings to the table. It's different. It's different. The kids enjoyed it. Last year, we play a little music during the games. The kids enjoyed it. It doesn't take away from the seriousness of the action, but the kids like that, and it's fun for them. It's fun.
Talk a little bit about some of the players who will be participating in it.
You know, on the girls' side, we've got some top-level players. I mean, really, you know, if you just look at the kids that signed D1, which, you know, you've got Emma Johnson that's going to Murray State from Davis County. She's the all-time leading scorer in school history there. You've got Tanisha Curry from Manual that's going to Richmond playing for the girls, who are just two of the, I guess, better name players in the girls' game. But there's a lot of good girls. And in the boys, you've got, I think probably a unique guy playing is David Sloan, that played at Taylor County, and then he went to a prep school this year and wanted to play here in the city, but was ruled ineligible by you know, the KHSAA, and he gets to play in Louisville tonight. So that's another great reason for the game. But there's a lot of good boys and a lot of good girls. I mean, hard to really single out just certain ones.
You know, you work a lot with guys who are on the next level, past the high school and past the collegiate level. You know, what can you say about the state of basketball here in Kentucky, sending players to colleges, just in general about, you know, how is basketball here in the state? Some people are critical about, you know, the state of ball, and what is your feelings on that?
We need work. We need work. I mean, that's my honest opinion. Kentucky high school basketball is special. You know, I've been a part of it for years. But I think we need work. I think we need work with our all-star game scenario, how we do it. I've been on the selection committee for that a couple of different times, and I'm not knocking anybody. I think everybody's fair and equal, and they do things a certain way. But I think Kentucky has had such a great history in basketball. I think we need to take the Team USA approach. We need to hire a guy that's the executive director for All-Stars. His job is going to be to watch kids throughout the year, select the best players based on their careers, and build that all-star program up. And I've felt seriously about that for years. And great. Kentucky All-Stars are great, and the Indiana All-Stars, it's a great series. But I just think the state of basketball needs work. I think everybody needs to come together a little bit more and look at the kids first. And so I think there's work to do, but it's a great state.
I talked a little bit earlier about your experience in basketball, but let people know kind of your involvement with basketball and maybe some of the things that you provide to players.
Well, I work all levels of basketball. Actually, my main thing in basketball now is I scout for a group out of Spain. And we send players overseas to play basketball. I'm not an agent. I'm a scout for the organization. And so that's primarily what I do. I go around the country looking for players to play overseas basketball and work with my group. And we've placed 50 players the last 2 years, into pro jobs. And I think looking at these kids, you can I'll talk to them before the game tonight, but there's already little things that you see just in dealing with them through an all-star game, little things that they've got to work out character-wise in order to get to that next level. Just basic stuff, like getting paperwork back on time and just things that they don't understand now, but these college seniors I'm working with, they're so humble, it's unbelievable. They get all their stuff in on time. I'm talking about guys that were all conference players at the Division I level because they understand the time, the window's short. And hopefully we'll talk to these kids a little bit tonight before the game, and hopefully it'll help some of them understand that they've got to take this thing a little bit more serious than they do.
You mentioned some of the off-the-court stuff. What is the biggest thing that you think the kids are missing in skill-wise on the court that keeps them from being recruited?
Well, I think a lot of times, a lot of these kids, they're playing so many games anymore that, I think that the skill work is often neglected. I mean, I'm talking about with them. I'm talking about an hour a day, just that kid working on his game. I'm not talking about with the trainer. I'm not talking about with anybody. But I think that's what's missing now is we got so many people working with kids, which is great. I think it's awesome. But the guys that separate themselves are those guys that'll take an hour or two a day to just get in that gym by themselves and develop their own way to work. A lot of these kids don't know how to work unless somebody's standing over them. And I mean, we used to grow up, in the park, and we'd go shoot when nobody was there. And I think these kids, they got great teaching, but now they've got to develop that passion to do things on their own when nobody's looking to get to where they want to go. And the ones that separate themselves do that. I mean, and I think they listen too much to certain people. I think they need to keep their circles a little shorter than they do, with some of the things they listen to, because a lot of times some of this stuff that it's not helping them. That's just how I feel about some of it.
Final question: What kind of action can we expect tonight? Who do you feel might be some of the standouts among the standouts?
I'm anxious to see it. I think Pedro Bradshaw is going to shine a little bit from Russellville, the kid going to Belmont. I've heard great things about him. And then on the Louisville side, I like Patterson from Ballard. I just think he can slither, get to the rim. I think those two are kind of me just looking in on it. There's a bunch of them though. I think it's gonna be good.